Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Listen, Todd Mullis, we need to talk about it. Now listen, you know and I know this is an old case. This case took place back in 2019, but Todd Mullis is back in court this week trying to get a new trial. I know, it's shocking. Do you remember the original case? Oh, the way I remember the original case. So this is what we're going to do. Today, I'm going to give you the complete history of the Todd Mullis trial, and then for the rest of the week, we'll cover what's happening in this appeals process that's going on in court right now. So get comfortable, grab yourself a cup of coffee, and you know what else you have to do? Like this video, subscribe to the channel. That helps other people find us. Also, check us out on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Instagram. So look, picture it. 2019, the state of Iowa versus Todd Mullis. And I know you're saying to yourself, wait. This rings a bell. Why do I know this case? You know why it rings a bell? It was called the corn fork murder trial. Boom, boom, boom. It was the first time I ever heard of a corn fork. I was not even sure corn forks existed. But according to this trial, also because they showed us a picture of them. So just so that you get the picture, non-farm people, I know our farmer friends know exactly what this is. I assume. I don't know. A pitchfork goes like this with the tines going this way, and a corn fork, the tines go that way. I don't know why you need different forks for different things, but just go with it, non-farm people. Okay, so look. Amy Mullis was an RN, right? Over there in Delaware County, Iowa. Oh, she down at the hospital. She's nursing. She's doing all the things she's supposed to do. And, healing the sick and stuff like that. And her husband, Todd, was a hog farmer. Wow. He owned 3.5 farms. Who knew you could own half a farm? But okay, he was going after that big pig money. Apparently, I'm not sure how farming works. Anyway, but thank you, farmers, for feeding all of us. Anyway, so Amy meets somebody down at the hospital and she has an affair. Amy girl, that's not good. So her husband finds out and she agrees to quit her job. It is unclear whether Amy was just like, you know what? I want to heal my marriage. We went to a little counseling. It's the right thing to do. I'm going to quit my job. Or if her husband was like, well, now heifer, you can't leave the house. I'm going to keep you here under lock and key and you cannot leave the house. But regardless, Amy quit her job and decided to work on the farm with her husband. And that's how they would sustain themselves. But here's the thing. Amy felt trapped on the farm. Todd had like an approved friends list. He was monitoring her text messages, how long she went out, who she went out with. Girl, just get a divorce. But Todd is super duper into his farming, and he didn't want a divorce because he felt like if he got divorced, he would have to give up half his farm. And his farm was his life. Did I mention he's a farmer? He's a farmer. He was also kind of quiet and brooding. And based on the look on his face, in my opinion, he seemed a little bit mean, but I ain't really know the man. Hang on for a second. So Todd had this theory that if he kept a tight rein on Amy, she wouldn't cheat again. Also, if she was not allowed to leave the house, it was not going to happen. Newsflash, Todd, that's not how cheating works. Because if somebody wants to cheat, they're going to cheat. Turns out, Amy got real close and cozy with one of the farm hands. The dude who kept the books or did something. He was like the farm manager. I don't know. Does the farm manager take complaints from the hogs? Please, I would like to not be killed, and my cousin Oinky would not like to be killed either. I don't know how farms work. So there was this farm manager that was coming around, and they went to church, and the kids had, dance practice and sports leagues and whatever. Amy was communicating a lot with this farm manager, and Todd got wind of it. He was like, well, while I was snooping and checking through all your things, I realized that you were communicating a lot with this dude. Turns out Amy and this dude were having an affair. They was doing it in the barn. They was doing it on back roads. They was oochieing each other's coochie all over the place. Amy girl, you just out here giving up out of both draw legs like that? Okay. No judgment. Not that much judgment. I'm judging you a little bit, but I can understand you on lockdown and your husband's over there, the jailer with the key. Who needs that? Anyway, so Todd got real mad, and he was like, I suspect Amy is cheating on me. And Amy is like, listen, Amy told her girlfriend, yeah, I'm cheating with the farm manager, but this is what I'm going to do. I really want a divorce, but I know that if I do that, my husband, there's an excellent chance he will unfortunately unalive me. Also, if I go missing, check that wood pile over there or check the hog pen, because he really going to do me in. I mean, if you have to have that conversation with your friends, it's time to go. It's time to go. But far be it from me to judge. So anyway, Amy was just like, this is what she tells her girlfriend, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell Todd, I'm gonna get out in front of this. I'm gonna tell him, baby, it's a bunch of rumors that I'm having an affair with this dude, but we're not having an affair. We're talking about the sports league and Bible study and whatever else. Her husband was like, okay, well, just keep it professional. I don't want things to get out of hand like they got out of hand before. And she was like, of course not. Meanwhile, she was saying to her girlfriend, after I divorce Todd, maybe that dude will also break up his whole family and come and be with me and we could be homewreckers together. She had dreams. Amy girl, dream bigger. Anyway, so Amy had to have some sort of medical procedure, like an outpatient thing. And so after her outpatient thing, she was home, she was at the house, she was resting, and the doctor told her, you should not lift more than 10 pounds for like a couple of weeks or whatever. And she was like, okay. So she rested a day or two, and then she's like, I am a hardy farm girl. I can get out here in the barn and help my husband. The husband, the brooding Todd Mullis, was just like looking at her real hard. Like, I think she was out here doing other things. There's also evidence that he was Googling, like, what did they do with cheating wives in ancient history? Ways to unfortunately unalive a cheating wife. And I was like, sir, he was not real tech savvy. Clearly, he did not know that his Google searches could be used against him in a court of law. So he was not smart enough to delete his history, apparently. So he's out working in the barn with his son, who's like 14 years old at the time. His wife goes out to help, and she's standing on some sort of bucket, and she keeps feeling dizzy because, remember, she had that little medical procedure. And the son was like, Ma, if you're getting dizzy, maybe you should not be standing on a bucket. Also, you should maybe not stand on buckets at all. But I'm a suburban hick, so what do I know about bucket standing? Anyway, so Todd was like, yeah, baby, go in the house. But on your way to the house, could you stop by the little red barn and grab down that pet carrier and leave it out in front of the red barn, and then go on in the house and rest where the other two kids are playing? And she's like, that's a good idea. And then Amy went into the red barn and went into the little red building. An hour and a half goes by, and Todd looks out and is like, no, Todd and his son keep working in the hog barn. Keep in mind, the hog barn is as long as a football field. Now, people who are not sports ball people like me, it's super duper long. It's really, really, really big. The son was like, me and my dad were working together. I saw him the whole time, except for when I went to get a drink of water, when I had to go tinkle, and, like they were sort of in and out of each other's line of sight. Also, if with the barn that big, you can maybe disappear for a little while when nobody notice you. But anyway, we'll get to that. So finally, they finish up in the barn doing whatever, farmy type things they were doing. They were in the office, and the husband looks out the window and was like, oh, your mom didn't put the pet carrier out in front of the red barn. Why don't you go and, check it and go check on your mother in the red building? Now, here's the thing about this. If mom left an hour and a half ago, she was supposed to stop by the red barn and then go to the house. Logically, she would be in the house. That's not what the father said. The father said, go to the red building and check on mom. So the son goes to the red building, and he finds mom dead like a carp on the floor, honey. She's on all four knees. She's bent over in the fetal position, and there's a corn fork sticking out of her back. And the son is like, Dad. So the dad runs up, and he's like, oh no, I must save my cheating wife. I must save my beloved spouse. So he yanks the corn fork out of her and tells the son, who's 14, go get my truck and pull it around. Say you're a farm kid without saying you're a farm kid. 14-year-olds driving? Okay. So the son goes and gets the truck, pulls it up. The dad is like, you get in the truck, throws his wife on top of his son. She bleeding out, and I think she was close to death at that point, unclear. And he starts driving. After he starts driving her to the hospital, he calls 911 like, hey, my wife had an accident. It's terrible. We're driving her to the hospital now. Now look, don't panic. Apparently this is usual in this part of the country because they live way, way out. It could take the ambulance or whatever a while to get there. It's not uncommon for people, your loved ones and family, to drive you to the hospital because that's going to be faster. So I was just like, okay, cool. So they're in the truck. The nearly dying lady is laying on top of her son. Todd's on the phone, and they were like, pull over, get your son out of the car, and lean the seat back and start giving her CPR. And so they're walking him through it. So he got the phone. You know how you do it. He's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, doing with the CPR, right? And It's very, very tragic. 2 minutes later, the ambulance, the EMS, everybody pulls up. They take her off to the hospital and she slips the surly bonds of this earth. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is really, really terrible. What happened? And then because she's dead, the medical examiner is like, okay, we have to investigate this for statistical purposes. And the medical examiner looked at her and was like, oh, somebody done killed this heifer. And the police was like, wait. How do you know? Because the husband said it was an accident. It was a farming accident. And the medical examiner was like, yeah, right. Here's the thing, though. A corn fork has 4 tines. This lady has 6 holes. Like somebody impaled her, pulled it out, and impaled her again. So how'd she fall twice and get impaled? And so I was like, oh. The police were like, hey, Todd, hey, can we talk to you? Apparently, your friends and relatives told us that there are cameras on the property. Could you let us see the cameras? He's like, ugh, crazy thing. The cameras were unplugged. They were not working at that time. The kittens did it. Justice for kittens. How are you blaming the kittens? He was like, yeah, the kittens get in there and they try to get warm and they knock down the antenna. And so I saw all the wires and everything hanging. And I went to look to see, like, how could this have happened? And when I went to look at the camera, all the footage was gone. For like 2 weeks prior to that, the footage was gone and it was erased. And the cops were like, okay, I hear what you're saying. You have the right to remain silent. And they gave them these really, really nice bracelets, right? And so they take Todd to trial because, according to the medical examiner, this lady was on purpose, unfortunately unalive. It was a homicide, right? So the trial goes on. The prosecutor tells the whole story I just told you. Only here's the thing. Remember the 911 tape where he was like, trying to do the CPR? The prosecutor listened to the 911 tapes, as you do, and she heard something that had not been heard before. Now look, you know when you're giving the CPR, you're supposed to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounded like on the tape that Todd was saying 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to hell, you cheating whore. Now listen, I, for one, appreciate the rhyme. I love a good rhyme, especially if it happens in the middle of a crime. Oh, I'm a poet and didn't know it. Anyway, so they get Todd on the stand during the trial, and Todd is brooding and mad. He's a man of few words. And they pull up all Amy's friends, and they were like, Todd did this. Amy had long said, if anything happens to me, Todd was going to hide my body here, there, and everywhere. Todd did it. I knew Todd would unfortunately unalive me if he caught me cheating again. I'm over here giving it up out of both draw legs to a dude who works down at the farm. And my husband was super duper mad. And so the prosecutor puts Todd on the stand. Y'all, you have to go find this tape. It's the cross-examination of Todd Mullins, where they play the tape. And the prosecutor is like, listen to this part of the tape. It's at the very, very end of the cross-examination. She plays the tape and you hear him go, 1, 2, 3, 4, go to hell, you cheating. I was like, Todd, sir, did your meanness and madness get the best of you? Now listen, if you think the tape says just 1, 2, 3, 4, then you hear 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you think the tape says says the bad thing, then you hear the bad thing. So Todd, they listen, the jury hears everything. Todd sits there like, I did not say that. I would never say a thing like that. Honey, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. He was just like, who? Me? I will sit here. I will say nothing. My lawyer has agreed this was an unfortunate unaliving. The state has agreed this was an unfortunate unaliving. And I'm using the Saudi defense. Some other dude did it. AKA, it was not me. Well, sadly, Todd gets convicted. And he goes off to prison, right? And he's going through all his appeals. Now, Todd is at his final appeal, right? And so now Todd is back in court this week with his new appellate lawyers, totally different than the original defense attorneys. And these new appellate attorneys are very, very excited. They're vigorous. They're fighting very hard for their client. As well they should. That is their job, to fight as hard as humanly possible for their client, even though they know it's an uphill battle. Also, this is a bench trial. They're not talking to a jury. It's just the lawyers and the judge. They're going to have a conversation about this. And I'm like, okay. The defense attorneys now are saying, or the appellate attorneys now are saying, listen, Todd did not agree that this was an unfortunate unaliving. Todd thinks this was an accident. She accidentally fell on a corn fork twice with it in her back. Did it levitate and then come back down on her? Todd and his defense attorneys are like, Todd never agreed with that defense. Todd always thought it was an accident. Can somebody explain it twice to me though? Call me crazy. I'm going to need somebody to explain it 2 times to me because I don't get it. Unclear. So the attorneys are like, we all know what happened. We just think it was really, really an accident and you should look at this again. And so they get the medical examiner up there and they're going through all the appeals. This is supposed to be like a 3 or 4 day trial with just the judge. So Todd Mullis is back in court this week from trying to get his 2019 conviction overturned. Here's the thing that people in comments have been saying, and I was not going to say it, but I did notice. Now, you know how most people go to prison and they have a serious glow down. The hair looks a mess. The skin is wrinkled. The food is bad. Apparently, you can't get spa treatments in prison. It's a whole thing. Old Todd Mullis had a glow up. How you been in prison for 5 years? You've never looked better. Oh, he was puffy and crazy looking before. Now he's looking lean and mean. I guess he's got nothing but time to exercise. Can you do like CrossFit or whatever over there in the prison? I don't know what he's doing, but he looks good. Now listen, he couldn't date me. I don't want no parts of him. Number one, I'm not a farm girl. I'm like, that's not sexy to me. Also, I don't understand farming things, but also he's a murderer. I'm not saying the man committed schmurder because, you know, I'm not trying to use none of these words that's going to get me demonetized here on the YouTube. I'm not saying he committed schmurder. I'm saying he was convicted of committing schmurder. And I watched the original trial. To me, the jury got it right. And y'all, the Google searches in this case, this man let his Google fingers do the walking. And it's clear from somebody in that house, they were not sure who the daddy of them babies was. How can you do a DNA test to make sure these kids are really yours? And Todd's attorneys were like, we don't know that was his Google search. You know that old saying, mama's baby, papa's maybe. The lady who the babies came out of her body, she knows those are her kids. So the daddy was like, he don't really look like me. I don't have brown eyes, whatever. I don't know. Todd, my man, in my opinion, in my professional gossip opinion, you are super duper guilty. I don't think you're going to get a new trial, but if you do, good luck. I suspect they're going to convict you again, but look, don't go by me. We're going to keep an eye on this case all week, and I will report back soon. You have a great day. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.